If you would have told me like 20 years ago that Ryan Gosling would be in some of my favorite movies, I probably would have laughed and slapped you in the face. He got another banger. It might be lazy, but all I'm saying is it's going to be some Interstellar and Project Hail Mary debates. And if you haven't seen this movie yet, don't worry. We're going to keep this spoiler free. Project Hail Mary is a movie that going into this, I knew absolutely nothing about it. I didn't even know this movie was based on the book until I went to a bar and I was talking to my friend about it. All I knew about this film was Ryan Gosling in outer space. Since I do movie reviews myself, I usually try to avoid other people's reviews because I want all of my thoughts to be my own. But on social media, it got really hard not to notice all the praise this movie was receiving and all the 9s and 10s this movie was getting. So I took some time out of my day. I went to the movie theater. I saw this in IMAX. This was amazing. So Ryan Gosling plays a science teacher named Ryland Grace, and he wakes up on a spaceship not remembering how he got there. So the majority of this movie does take place in current time, but throughout the film, we get a number of flashbacks to show how we got to this exact point, and they execute that very well. So the reason that this team is going to outer space is because this disease, this infection, whatever you want to call it, it's killing the sun, which obviously isn't good for the Earth. So they go to outer space, and along the way, Ryan's character meets an alien. That's not a spoiler, it's in the trailer. So he meets this alien, they work together, they build a relationship to essentially save the universe. Space is very fascinating to me. Space is also extremely terrifying. Me, myself, I have no desire to go up there, but I love movies based on science fiction, based on space, and just going off of one watch, I love this movie. This movie is dramatic, this movie is funny, this movie is emotional, this movie is beautiful. There's plenty of on the edge of your seat moments. This movie was so amazing, and I feel like this is one of those films that we're still going to be talking about towards the end of the year. Now, this movie isn't perfect. It does have some things that I don't like, but it's so much to love. Ryan Gosling. Every time I think about him from Remember the Titans when he was young and skinny. And it's crazy to me because today he is a legitimate, serious actor and he's a heartthrob for women. Honestly, when I first started watching this movie, I wasn't really feeling his character. He plays this science teacher that's extremely smart, but he's unsure of himself. He doesn't have any sort of confidence. And at the beginning of the movie, nobody knows what's going on. The audience doesn't know, the character doesn't know. As the movie goes on, you start to understand his character who lived a regular life, and now he's working with the US government and is expected to save the entire planet. Obviously, you want him to succeed, you want him to save the planet, but his character was so easy to root for. And I don't know how much information is out there about the alien because I'm going to assume that most people haven't read the book. I mean, people today can barely read in general, but their relationship, bruh, it's terrifying at first, and then they're curious and they start to build a relationship and they start to see the good in both of them, and then they realize that they essentially have the same mission: save their home. And then they go off on a journey. This movie has a lot of humorous moments. I would say that this is a very light-hearted film, but it does have some aspects that were a lot darker than I thought it would be. Like the journey that we got in explaining how he went from a regular everyday science teacher to ending up on a spaceship with an alien is not at all what I thought it would be. The stakes are high, you're stuck in the middle of outer space, and the sun and earth are dying. I feel like it was multiple moments during this movie where you could feel the tension and the pressure in the theater where everyone was just so locked in and focused. And I know this kind of might be a lazy comparison because they're both space movies, but it reminded me of moments of Interstellar, because I remember when I watched Interstellar, especially for the first time, it was moments where I caught myself kind of leaning forward because I was so locked in. Like the scene with the giant wave, them trying to dock the spaceship, going in a black hole. This movie obviously doesn't have those scenes, but the feeling you get when you watch those from Interstellar, you get that here. In case you don't know, this is a very long movie, and I feel like as the film goes along, you truly start to love and care for these characters. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but the star of this movie, at least in my opinion, was the alien. The alien's name, I'm not going to give too many details. The alien's name, in case you don't know, his name is Rocky. Rocky was a real one. That's all I'm gonna say. But the cast in this movie were great across the board, featuring my guy Lionel from Odd Future and The Bear, my guy from Rush Hour, not John Tao, but my guy from Rush Hour, and that fine AT&T chick. Everyone delivers. The cinematography and special effects in this movie were beautiful. If you have an IMAX theater in your area, I highly recommend you go out and see it. And this movie is long as hell, so you get your money's worth. But all the scenes in the spaceship, and they built an actual legitimate fake spaceship for Ryan to move around in, maneuvering outer space, the alien design, apparently it wasn't just CGI, but they used a puppet or animatronics. We get a look at foreign planets, the lighting. This film was beautiful. The sound design in this movie was great in IMAX. My chair was literally shaking at certain parts in the movie. And they also do the thing that I love in most space movies where like the audio just completely cuts out. You know what I'm talking about. In a good way, this movie was such an emotional ride. Like, usually I hate with a burning passion when people clap in the middle of the movie when something happens, but this movie did have those moments where people started clapping and I wasn't mad at them. Like, I'm not an emotional guy at all. I can't lie. This movie had a few scenes that almost got me choked up. In my opinion, this was such an epic experience, but I wouldn't be surprised if some people don't like it because this movie won't be for everyone. Project Hail Mary is a really long movie. Like, I love long films, but I know today a lot of people, they can't focus on anything these days. Some people only want to watch movies if it's an hour and a half, an hour, 40 minutes. This movie comes in at 2 hours and 36 minutes. And it definitely feels like it. It didn't bother me too much, but there were multiple points where I thought maybe we were getting towards the end of the movie and then something would happen and then the movie just kept on going. But the main issue that I have with this film is that at times, this movie is really slow. It's a number of scenes in this film that I felt like dragged on way too long and they could have cut some things. Like, there were a couple of scenes in this movie in which I feel like they could have gotten their point across in about 2 minutes, but they dragged it out to 8. Like, it was multiple scenes at the beginning of the movie that I felt like were way too long. When Ryan first meets the alien, that scene, great, but that scene is really long. Some of the flashbacks that we see are really long. It's a scene where a person is singing. That scene, in my opinion, went on for way too long. I feel like it was multiple scenes in this movie where they just dragged it out for no reason. But if you love this film, that slow burn might be worth the payoff. But that's really my only complaint. Like, I haven't read the book, so I can't compare the book to the film. But when it comes to just this movie and what I watched, I love this. As of this recording, Project Hail Mary is projected to make around $140 million in its opening weekend, smashing all types of records. On Rotten Tomatoes has a critic score of 95% and a fan rating with over 5,000 reviews at 97%. Honestly, I'm right there with the fans. In a perfect world, I would give this movie probably a 9.5, but I don't do half scores. So I'm gonna give this movie a 9, which is an excellent on my scale. This was such an amazing movie and a must-see in my opinion, especially if you love science fiction. The acting from everyone involved was amazing. The writing of the characters from Ryan Gosling and the alien Rocky, amazing. Cinematography and sound design, amazing. This was such a great film and I'm glad that I got to experience this because, again, going into this, I had no idea what this movie was about. But the only knock that I have on this movie, because I don't really care about the science, I don't know how accurate they were, I don't know anything about science, I just wanted to be entertained. The only knock that I have on this movie is that it does drag in some scenes. Like, this is a really long movie. I love long films, but it does feel like it drags just because at multiple points throughout. But even with that being said, I do feel like the payoff that we get at the end of this movie is worth the length of this film. If you have not watched this film yet, or if it's not on your radar, I promise you, if you like space, if you like science fiction, go out and see this movie. But thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new here. We talk about a bunch of different things in this channel. What are you guys' thoughts on this movie? If you have seen this film, do you feel like it lived up to the hype? I'm talking about, I've only seen 9s and 10s when people talk about this movie. And if you've read the book, how does the film really compare? Let me know in the comment section below. Love you guys. As always, remember to tell somebody that you love them. Until next time, see you in the next life.